Episode of Adrift. This is number 14. I'm going off the top. I did not look it up this time. I'm pretty sure it's 14. Today, we're going to be talking with KevEon, who is a fantastic makeup artist and teacher. And we actually, oh, here he is. So let me invite him. Just a quick moment here. Let's see if we got ourselves set up perfectly. I can't hold my breath for that long. Oh, wait, that's right. I asked him to join as KevEon. There we go. Yeah. He's got 2 Instagram accounts. That's what that was about. Hold on. Magic.
Hey, Fresco.
Yes. There we go. What's up, KevEon?
Good to see you again. How you been?
Good to see you as well, too. Here, I'm going to pop myself up a little bit so I'm center right here. Boom. Hello.
Am I centered?
You are perfect here. I'm gonna tag you here real quick for the livers and for the YouTube when I post it afterwards. Yeah. Here we go. You're gonna see it in just a moment. And it's so funny looking at somebody's face when they're concentrated on something, but they're being recorded.
Oh, right. I promise, like, I do so many, like, calls, Zoom calls. I'm on this stuff all day long. It doesn't, I don't think it feels like anything. It literally feels like I'm just talking to you. Like, that's it.
That's all it is. That's all it is. But thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today, man.
Yeah, I'm happy to have this conversation. We had a great conversation when we met, probably for the second time or whatever. But
Yeah.
so it's good to see that.
Yeah, so before we get started, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself? They know that you're a makeup artist, they know that you're a teacher, but why don't you expound upon that a little bit?
Okay, so I am KevEon. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I lived there. Yeah, I was born there. I grew up in Alton, Illinois. I lived there till I was like 8, and then I moved to St. Louis, and I lived in St. Louis from 8 to 20. And then when I was from 8 to like whatever, 22. And then when I was 22, I moved to New York. I used to be a food and beverage manager and did food and beverage beforehand in like hotels and everything. I moved here, worked at the plaza. Then I got like super stressed out and I was like, forget that. And then I go ahead and like do what I feel really passionate about. And a part of that is like hair. So I've been doing hair for 10 years. I've done hair, makeup, grooming, in salon, out of salon, a couple magazines, some cool stuff, some background work, some
Couple magazines, you know.
some great stuff along my route. But definitely, I think like at this moment, like sharing is like really important because I don't really think I did that too well before. Maybe I did, I don't know, but that's just my viewpoint of it. I just want to like give back in this moment. So I've been teaching for about a year now, but before that I was a network educator at a few salons that I was at. So yeah, I like beautiful things. I am an Aquarian also. I love beautiful and I love beauty in the world. I appreciate beauty, and I consider myself a beauty connoisseur over everything. I don't really like labels, so I'm an educator and a beauty connoisseur.
Oh, that's what we should have put on the flyer because I really, really like that. And also, just a quick note, Mr. August 5th, what's up? I'm assuming that's your birthday, and if so, happy birthday. And I just had my birthday August 9th, so we are like Leo season. And shout out Marquez Martin, what's up, man? Hey. So I just want to take a moment to say what's up to everybody.
Yeah.
But KevEon, yeah, no, that's awesome because what's crazy is you and I met on your chair.
Yes.
I just came through and the first thing you said is you're pretty much set up. I mean, it was first shoot for Death to Tennis, and we actually had William Watson of Death to Tennis on the show. I think it was about 4 or 5 episodes ago. And he had asked me to do a shoot, but not as a photographer, as a model, which I was like, me? This is what you right here, this is what you want? I was like, all right, cool, man. So I come by and I straight edged my beard, and you had your table all set up, the chair was all set up, ready for grooming. Had I known, I would have just let you do your thing, but you were like, hey, you're all set up, man. I was like, nah, I missed a spot right over here. If you could just help me out real quick.
And then the conversation was sparking. Good conversation, good people,
Yeah.
nice intro.
Yeah. No, that was awesome because we talked for like an hour straight. What, like, was it an hour?
Waiting, you had to wait.
Yeah, yeah, because I think I showed up early, and yeah, I mean, there wasn't much for you to do. I mean, I did get a little makeup on, that was a first, and well, not a first, but it was a first to have it professionally done, of course.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And no, definitely, because a lot of people don't realize that for a shoot, you want it to be as even as possible. Like, even here, for Adrift, maybe I should start wearing a little makeup because you got a little bit of the pimples, a little green from the veins. A lot of people don't realize skin is actually translucent, or transparent, rather.
Carmucci, he's actually a very amazing, skilled, amazing makeup artist himself as well. But yes, you're so true. I actually learned. I feel like the more I talk about just having conversations with her, I really learn things, and I learn so much complaining about my own like hair, or just venting to in conversations, more so with my students as of recent, and it kind of makes you realize how the importance of light. So when I understand the importance of light, I'm always thinking about my hair and how how structured can I make my hair look, and then it's okay, it just has to be structured from every single angle. And then that's it. You know what I'm saying? You have to build it from all angles. So you have to look at it as if it's under multiple forms of light, even though it's only under whatever light that is under in that moment. But you have to see it being multiple places at one time. So when I realized that, that definitely helped my understanding of makeup and beauty overall. Because that's the balance. Light adds to everything. You're a photographer. You know all of this stuff. I'm not saying anything you don't know.
No, but that's what I was going to jump in and say, is that it's so crazy because I really never paid attention to light until I became a photographer. And so I never realized how important it was to other fields as well. I thought it was just the artist having a certain light helped them paint at a, to see everything evenly. But I never really thought about makeup. I never really thought about hair. And so you saying this right now, honestly, I never really even thought about it during a shoot. Just to apply makeup. I knew that makeup looked great for a shoot, but I never thought about how the light would hit the makeup. That was something that never really dawned on me. So right now you're just I'm being educated right now.
I appreciate you. I was actually, I posted yesterday saying, just giving appreciation to, since we're on the topic of makeup, but I was giving appreciation to my, me and Meg the Stallion. We have the same birthday. And I was like, man, that girl, she really doing with her makeup, because she knows how to highlight her best features and then accentuate and build upon them. And she knows how to really make her nose contour really look great in all angles, and I really appreciate that. So I went on YouTube and I'm like, oh wow, and I saw this video of her explaining because she just got a contract with makeup, just explaining what she highlights, and she's like, oh, I'm brown, so I just deepen. She contours with brown makeup to deepen everything, so it just defines her features. And I was like, that's genius.
Oh, yeah. Also, shout out Berno real quick. Shout out Angel. Been a minute since I seen you. What's up, girl? Yeah, no, that's crazy. That's insane, because when you think about contouring, you're thinking about, like you said, accentuating features. So I never really thought about, it's almost like reverse contouring in the sense that she's darkening certain areas to highlight what's there. It's
yes, and even around her eyes, and that was the biggest thing. And Shaka Khan actually did it. I saw another video. Once I got into that, I kind of just started scrolling, and a video of Shaka Khan doing her makeup where she used gold to outline her eyes, and the way that it really made her eyes awaken. I bet they did too. I think someone just said that the makeup artist gave her that idea. I'm sure they did. Because it's a idea. It makes so much sense. And we were, me and you were talking when we met, and I was telling you, I'm a logical learner. If something makes sense, I'm like, wow, that's how it should be.
right.
That's it.
No, that's crazy because when we were talking too, I mean, I don't want to deviate too far from the makeup just because it's super exciting, but like when we were talking, and we were thinking about the ways in which we learned, that's kind of where the conversation went off, because we started literally just talking about hair, makeup, and photography.
Yeah.
That was it. And then all of a sudden it became about, you mentioned that very thing. You were like, I am a logical learner. And then it was like the floodgates open, because it was like an hour's worth of conversation about learning and about like how to apply yourself spiritually and mentally, being aware. So like, it's so interesting because like you said, the conversations that you have with people always ultimately lead to something that you'll learn. And it may not be something that you will use, but that doesn't mean that it's not useful. And what I mean by that is some people do really smart shit, but then there's other people who do kind of dumb shit. And I think you could learn from both. You know?
Very, very.
You know? So like you're doing hair, you're styling somebody, and you just have these conversations. I mean, what's that gotta be like? Do you put yourself into every conversation? Are you really transparent?
I try to be intentional. You know what? Actually, I do. And I'm a reference speaker. I think I told you that too. I'm a reference.
Say that too. Yep. Yep.
I talk like a blank statement. I can talk about anything of the world. I don't necessarily like it to necessarily be about me. So if someone brings up something that I can reference, I'll reference that and just like, drum on that as much as I can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ends up like conversation as well, just like referencing, and like it makes me be like a little bit. It opens up my transparency, because women have that effect on me. Like I don't know if it's with you as well. Me and my brother talk about it often. Just like how like women like, you'll have a conversation with a woman and women are just so completely transparent, and it'll just be like, oh, I was.
We lost you for a minute there. We lost you for a minute there. But you said women are so completely transparent.
Yes, like they like really like their transparency like allows you to be like it makes you like really like kind of pause, like, oh, I probably was being an asshole. It makes you reflect. Like women all have always like made me reflect a little too much, so I have to sometimes like keep my distance. Like like I don't need all this reflecting, but yeah, like conversation definitely builds like around people and truth. Somebody's truth will bring out my truth, because I don't be like.
Well, it's like that's actually another part of the conversation we had that sort of sparked up, was about the difference between women and men, in the sense that women typically, I'm not going to say all women, of course, you can't really generalize, but, typically women are raised in a way where they are a little bit more expressive, and men are raised in a way typically more where it's like you have to be this and protect and all this other shit. So it's like, where's the space really to be open as a male when you're always thinking I have to protect and I have to provide, and however many other P words, that really, it causes, I think that's where you run into issues in heteronormative relationships, where it's like you have these men who can't talk, and then you have women who can talk, and both of their communication is just like not meshing,
Right.
And then you said that other thing too, that women tend to make men honest, and I would imagine they make just about everyone honest, right? It's like, because of that, I think men wind up finding that to be a challenge, and they're like, don't do that. Don't call my masculinity or my don't do that. Like
Yeah, like let me like reveal what I want to feel reveal. Don't figure me out.
right.
You know what I think would be like the best, like the solution for that. I also like to, like I said, I invented this word solutionary. I like to be solutionary, and what I think it always benefits people to like look to their past with these things. We've had 2,000 years of visual documentation of men's behavior, like documentation of men's behavior.
I'm sure we have way more than that. Yeah.
So we have all this documentation of like our behavior, and men, like, mind you, we can turn around and be like, okay, like, I got that, I could do 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 that. Like, so we know, like, we're not. This isn't humanity hasn't just. Well, this isn't the first round of humanity. You know what I'm saying? It's been, it's been people before us and before us. So I feel like it's so important for people to reflect like across the board, everything, because like that's when I started. Because I said to myself like, men, especially like right now, like men are looking really awful right now. You feel like men are looking.
If I may, they're looking awful because, like you just said, women are holding men accountable for the first time ever. Ever. I mean, I shouldn't say ever, ever. I mean, there's the first, second, and third wave feminism, and now we're moving into fourth wave. But, men are now starting to now listen. And because of that conversation, we're starting to also take accountability for that. And it's crazy you said that I'm so sorry to interrupt, but it was funny because there was this comedian on Netflix, and I think her name, Sam J. I just watched her special.
Yes, I saw that.
You saw that?
Yes.
She had me dying because she was like, something men do that women never do? She was like, women are just doing their thing, we're just trying to like go about our day. And now I think about it, she might have said this it might have been in the context of privilege. But in any case, she was like, but what men do is they build shit that you never would think that they would build. Like, you never thought that you would need that. She was talking about, like, Tesla. She was like, I didn't realize that you could just go to space. Like, if you had enough money, I didn't realize you could just make a spaceship and go to space. She was like, I thought that was a Saturday thing. That's on the TV. Everybody sits down and we watch it. I thought you had to ask NASA. Here we have Tesla just going into space. And so I bring that up because I think it's interesting in the sense that men literally have been told their entire lives that you could do anything. And Tesla is the perfect example of a man who took that and ran with it. Like, ran with it.
Yes, absolutely.
That man just went to space for no reason.
Crazy. That is so true. And that's actually like, I mean, when you say that, it's kind of saddening. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been told this. I still feel like men fall so short.
Mm-hmm.
Like, still,
absolutely.
Not even to be like necessarily like negative on men or anything like that. But I just think it's like really important for like, we got to like move forward and definitely like, sometimes in moving forward, you kind of have to like be like, okay, that was trash. Like, that was trash too.
Mm-hmm.
That was trash. You got to like call it out. And it requires like a level of honesty for like, but like, yeah, like it's been like so much failure. I don't even want to get into the president conversation, but
no, but that's an interesting question though. I mean, like, you got to think there is something to be said about people who don't hold themselves accountable and people who do, because like when you hold yourself accountable, as great as it is, it does slow you down. And when you don't hold yourself accountable, you just keep doing stuff until somebody slows you down. So think about that. Like, that's a tough kind of thing to deal with. Like,
yeah, that is so true.
Like, again, not to specifically talk about the president, but he is a perfect example of somebody who just does shit and doesn't stop until somebody makes him. Like,
and then when someone makes them, it falls into default, the male ego.
It's that challenge. It's that challenge again. Yeah.
Now, people have to always remember the reason why, and we're going to talk about this, and then we can. The reason why Barack Obama's energy is so powerful, like literally the reason why Donald Trump and both Kanye West and Donald Trump want to be president. When Barack Obama said to Kanye, "Oh, like you're a jackass for like." saying that, Beyonce's video was better than Taylor Swift's or whatever. He called him a jackass. I remember when that moment happened, I was like, oh, that's a bit much. Like, he was telling the truth. Everybody knew the truth. But like that shattered his ego. That fractured Kanye's male ego. When she went at Barack saying that his naturalization, that he wasn't a real American, and then like the paperwork came out, mind you, a lot of people believe that. Truthfully, so he had a little people, under his wing or whatever. But when it came out that, you remember he was talking so much, and then when it came out that, oh, here you go, Here's the paper. Here you go. He was silent. He didn't say a word. It fractured his male ego. And what you said about accountability in those moments, like, it was like Trump never like took accountability for those actions. Kanye tried to, but then it was always backsided accountability. And then it was also missed accountability that he didn't even handle with Beyonce, who he just blew up her spot. She didn't ask for her spot to be blown up like that. So
No.
accountability, that's three people's accountability that he like threw off. You know what I'm saying? So like the male ego can't necessarily handle like all that stuff or whatever. So it pushed him. He was stopped when the world, like, that's why he made the song like Power and stuff like that. He was stopped because he didn't take accountability. He said he wanted to commit suicide, all this stuff like that. Now I think he barely even wants to make music. Although he says he wants to make music, he doesn't make music. He just wants to like create or whatever that may be. I understand that I'm like drifting, but this is gonna make sense in a second. He's like he does all of this drifting, but it's literally because of the lack of accountability that he didn't take in that moment. So every single thing, mind you, when he finishes, when he's done with all this like mental stuff that he's going through, is gonna bring him back to Barack Obama hurt my feelings. It's gonna.
We can hope so. We hope.
Yeah. We hope, you know what I'm saying. With that, as if the solution is his mental health, it will bring him back to Barack Obama hurt my feelings. Like I did.
I just want to say I'm happy you said that, because one thing that I want to touch on, I don't disagree with it, but I want to touch on is that that the male ego is only as susceptible as far as it's protected. You know, so like, right, yeah. So like if Kanye was a little bit more open, and of course we're using these people as like hypothetical just to kind of prove a point, right? But like if Kanye was a little bit more open, if Kanye maybe did go to therapy or did, explore whatever the feelings were that happened while he was grieving with his mom and everything else that's happened as a result of that, you know, he might be in a better place, and his male ego might have been able to help that or handle that. You know, so sorry to interrupt, but like you were going, and that was just the one thing I was like, it could have if he gave enough attention to it.
He had to heal that too. That was a thing to have to heal as well. And then that was right off. That happened the year before. It might be not even a year before that happened.
I think so. Yeah, it was about a year, give or take.
Yeah, about a, you know what I'm saying, a very short amount of time. So that, like that, it's gonna root you back to like whatever that situation was. Same with Trump or whatever. It will root him back to like, okay, I was wrong. Like, you know, like once again, you know, like I think by association, because he, you know, once upon a time, even though everybody knew he made those statements on the Central Park Five, everybody knew that he made those awful statements. But still, the 90s happened, and he was mentioned in all these songs, lifted, you know, high, you know, almost like a visual representation of like wealth and opulence, you know, in some way, shape, or form. And like he ran with that. Like that gave him a lot of likability, but people always knew who he was. You know what I'm saying? Like this very public, that very public situation of, you know, him calling out somebody and then being wrong, and then like not saying like, okay, like I was wrong, whatever. You know, he still said like, oh, like I think they botched it. I think he like never like really owned up to it. It's stifled. You know, it's stifled, and that's why he behaves like his behavior looks like a stain, looks like a child. It's childish behavior.
Well, you have to make a choice, I think, at a certain point. And I think some of us make choices without really realizing we're making that choice.
Yeah.
Like, out of curiosity, I'm just wondering if this has ever happened to you.
Talk to me.
Have you ever done something that was like mildly, moderately fucked up, but just before you did it, you had like a split-second conversation with yourself where it was like, are we going there? Are we going there? You know what I mean? And then it's just like, yes, we're going there. You know what I mean? It lasts like that. Absolutely. But that conversation does happen with yourself.
It's an inner conversation. Like it is, and you know what? Thank you for saying that, because that also enforces the intention in all actions.
Right.
Know that I know what I'm doing. Like, yes, I got this. I know what I'm doing. I'm about to do this. It enforces that like everything you do like is really like is a choice, and it's like intentional. Everything is like intentional. truthfully.
Yes. But that's what's beautiful, because that thing, it definitely can be, depending on the situation, that might happen. And it might be for a shitty, thing that you're about to do. Like sometimes you get too drunk, or sometimes, you get mad and you want to yell. But there are also those times where it works to your benefit, where, let's say, for example, there's somebody at a bar or a library, wherever you meet your significant others or you go on the prowl, where you have that split second conversation with yourself and you're like, should I say hi? Should I do it? You know what I mean? It happens all the time. And I feel like it's so quick that if you don't think about it, if you don't like realize that it was a conversation that you were actively engaged in, it happens so quick that you don't even notice it, but you totally can, And that's where it kind of goes back to like Kanye and Trump and Obama even, is because I feel like they're in a place where depending on who you're talking about, I'm not saying each one of them is like this, but actually I think each one of them is a good example of different things. I think Obama's a great example of somebody who thinks about what he says and then does it. And he thinks about the ramifications of what he says and then does it, for the most part. I'm sure he's had some slip-ups.
Yeah.
Then you have Trump, who doesn't think about the ramifications and just goes. And even when somebody stops him, he maybe takes a detour for a minute, like a very hot minute, but then he comes back.
Absolutely.
Right. But then Kanye's kind of in the middle, because Kanye's kind of like, oh shit, that really hurt my feelings. Let me leave the limelight for 6 months, and then I'll come back and maybe probably make some more stupid decisions. They're all kind of on a different spectrum of accountability, and they all think about it from different perspectives. It's really kind of interesting, actually, that you brought all three of them up, and that all three of them are always in the same conversation. Because it used to just be Trump and Obama.
Yeah.
Now, because Kanye wanted to run for president and started wearing a MAGA hat and all this other shit, now he's a part of the conversation somehow. It's
it's the obsession. The obsession. It's literally an obsession, and they can't the thing is have you ever realized think back to into your childhood and stuff like that, and think about best friends, or all the male friendships that you've had in your life, and how long it takes for that relationship to build. Although y'all tight from the jump, y'all tight from the jump, but it's the brotherhood is building. It takes a moment for it. And then, sometimes y'all got to go on a couple of adventures for you both to be me, hey, we done been through some stuff or whatever it may be. For it to be, that's my right hand. That, hey, they hold me down. You know what I'm saying? So so for a man, so as long as it takes, this is the thing. You know what I'm saying? Men are just I've realized, and this is and I'm talking about them, but I'm also this is from reflection of self as well. Men are emotional across the board. I've realized that I'm an emotional man. You know what I'm saying? I'm what I'm saying? I'm moody sometimes. I'm this sometimes or whatever. But the same emotions that weirdly men let a heterosexual man or a homosexual man or whatever, they put into relationships is the same intentions that they put into their brotherhood friendships, just like women, you know what I'm saying, with their friends, and how a conversation woman to woman is so powerful, a conversation man to man is so powerful. So when men see one another, if it's a respect there, just okay, I know you follow me because I know you follow me, but just Kanye and Barack, they had a respect. Barack is the president. They went from Chicago. They see each other. It's a beautiful thing to see or whatever. If it's a respect there and that man and you're shut down, especially publicly, it feels like a fight. You know what I'm saying? And it also feels like a loss in a sense. So that also takes just a lot for men to emotionally recover from. You know what I'm saying? Just
that's why men are emotional.
Equivalent to Jay-Z, Kanye, you know what I'm saying? When it
wait, hold on, I lost you for a minute there. Hold on, wait, come back to me, brother. Hold on, where'd you go?
I'm here. You see me? I'm here.
All right, there you go. Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead. You were saying something?
No, I lost you because the last thing it like hit me. You were making those points, and then I was like, oh, and that's how men are emotional. That's the way that they express it. That was the last thing I said, and then I didn't hear you anymore.
Same with Jay-Z and Kanye's relationship. You know what I'm saying? It's been like very public. You know what I'm saying? Even thinking like your next door neighbors. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you see two best friends who are like drunk on the street or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, if he hit, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, he hit for, I can't, yo, I can't. You know, we're so emotional. I've literally seen this stuff with my own eyes. But Kanye and Jay-Z, you know what I'm saying? You got a person who's like, when men care, not even people, I'm talking like men specific, even women, just humans, like, you know, we're just emotional. You know what I'm saying? We carry like all these emotions, but we try to mask them as if they're not emotions. You know, if we just own them as emotions, we're actually like free of them, truthfully. But they get like thrown under, you know, of all these emotions or whatever, and then they're really just scarred. Like Kanye, he's very scarred by these public and like low key being shit on publicly by people like men that he respects. And
it's gonna be tough.
It's tough. Yeah, I don't even want to like get even deeper because I even know some more things, but I don't want to shit on him like that. Yeah,
but all right, but then
that's a male and human thing across the board.
Yeah, but you also said that it's in how we express it that I think makes it different, you know, and that kind of speaks on the whole how we're raised and how we're socialized, you know, and I think it's interesting because that ultimately segues in to how can you be authentic and how can you kind of bring your spirit, bring your true self into what you're doing, especially as a man, because I can't say from the female perspective really at all, but like the one thing I will say is for me as a man, my family found it very difficult at first to think of me as an artist and that being a lucrative position. Like they were broken for a long time. Yeah, no, very much like my I'm not gonna like specifically say who, but a lot of people were like, they would socialize me. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be an archaeologist. You're going to be an architect. You know, things that had to do with making a lot of money and the certainty and security that came with that to kind of reinforce this notion of manliness that I would have to therefore enforce that thing. You know, I have to protect. I have to provide. And it was crazy because in me becoming a photographer and choosing to leave like the professional space as a psychologist, as a therapist, like leaving that space, for them it was like, you're stupid. Like I couldn't imagine any decision dumber than that. And the reason why I bring this up, you know, maybe it already starts to make sense, but the other element to it is that I taught them so much about what it meant to just be a person by doing that. You know, like just the action alone called into question everything, every like belief that they held about how men should be, how women should be, you know, and they're still like, you know, because mind you, in particular, like on my mom's side of the family, they're Latino, so it's like, you got to find you a woman who's going to cook and clean for you. You know, American women aren't going to do that. And I'm like, I'm pretty good on my own. Like, you know, like the fact that I'm 31 now and I'm not married is like very difficult for my grandparents to understand. They're just like, have a girlfriend? No. You want to get married? Kids? No, not really. Not right now. You know, it's a challenge to them. And as a result, I was put in a position where I had to ask myself these questions and then move forward as a business owner, knowing that if I was going to be successful, I had to change my thought process. It couldn't be as rigid as it was before.
Absolutely. Yeah. That comes with you freed yourself. You freed yourself.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. It always reminds me of The Matrix when we have conversations like this. You know, freeing yourself. There's this there's one, people don't know too much about what's called the Animatrix, and that was like a series. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it. Like I honestly, I haven't even seen The Matrix full all the way like through. But like, This was
Well, so there's a side, like I guess miniseries you can call it. And in the movie, you have to be freed from the Matrix, right? But in the series, this kid frees himself. And I always thought that that was such an interesting concept about freeing yourself, about recognizing that you have these conversations with yourself, about recognizing that each one of us, man, woman, child, like any part of the LGBT, queer, or heteronormative spectrum, doesn't matter who you are,
yeah,
you have biases and you have habits and you have behaviors. Each one of those things can be challenged.
all of it.
And each one of them, every single thing. You can hack your own mind if you
Yeah,
think about smarter, clever ways to do it. You
absolutely.
know, you can. But I will say that you do wind up in scenarios where people then challenge that. And they challenge it incessantly because they think to them that you're either insane or you are lazy because you think too much, you know um or that maybe you're too giving because you're kind to people who don't deserve it, like that sort of a thing. And you wind up in this position where your beliefs are constantly called into question. And I think two things happen. You either fall back into those old behaviors, or those conversations, like us when we talk, it reinforces those new behaviors. And it's like, all right, cool. He gets it. They get it. Not everybody, but these people do.
Yeah,
I'm on the right track. Let's go.
yes. And that the root of that is like sort of honestly like with what you were talking about at first is like a selfish kind of life. You kind of have to like be like love on like look inwardly. Like when I chose to move to New York, I remember like just people thinking like nobody believed me. Like nobody believed me. Only people who were like close friends. Like when I feel like I had like just a strong three at the time, but like I feel like nobody believed me. None of my siblings believed. Just nobody. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, okay, sure. And then, but I had to like keep looking in. Like, okay, I'm gonna be here. Everything will be fine, whatever. And more than anything, like my thoughts were like already here. Like I was just like living day to day, but it wasn't. I was already here already, so it was so advanced. But a lot of times, you really have to like. I think about like I tell my clients all the time, in slightly in an arrogant way, but also just in like a feel me. You know what I'm saying? Like
Feel yeah.
we have to like really teach people quality, and when I say teach people quality, it's like we have to like really like teach people like as you are explaining and just living in your truth and living like selfishly and what you want to do, they'll never seen that before. They like you have to like your whatever you're doing is your path. No one's ever gonna see a path like yours before. You know what I'm saying? My path, I have to do the exact same thing. You're never gonna see a path like mine before. Trust me, I got this. Don't question about it. Don't think about it. I'll teach you. And like when I tell my clients, like I taught you quality. Like before you came to me, you thought like layers or whatever, or this or you thought blind her whatever. And it's like now I have enlightened you, and now you know better. In life, we have to show people like, okay, like, yeah, your whatever you traditionally works for you, that works for you, that works for you. But like, I'm gonna do my own thing. Years ago, and I'm finished. But like years ago, I remember telling people like, man, like this 5-day work week is like, this is not it. Like this is wrong. Like it's abuse. This is like, y'all know this is wrong, right? And like everybody was just like, ha ha ha, like yeah, you're crazy. Like and just like you said, it makes you sound like you're lazy. And it's like, no, this is wrong. Have people working 5 days. I get 2 days to live my life, and then I have to like just do it all over again. Internally, my body does not feel completely relaxed after 2 days. I need 3 days. I was like, just spiritually speaking alone, I think the 5-day work week doesn't work. It's gonna go to a 4-day work week. I said this years ago. Everybody's like, I think you need to get real. You need to get real. Boom. I'm a futurist because I live in my own truth. But no, let me just chill. Because I know what feels right to me. I'm not gonna say that whatever's for somebody else feels right. I'm not gonna go out of what like feels like right to me. If I know like, yo, this is wrong, I'm gonna like verbalize this is wrong. Hey, the world might catch up, and that might not be with me now, but trust me, it'll get on this bandwagon because it's logical. Oh, to root that. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. Okay, so I love that you said that because there's this book I'm reading. I might have told you about it, and I keep bringing it up because I'm very slowly reading it. I'm doing like 5 pages like a week kind of thing. But it's called like the alchemy and dark art and science or something or other of marketing, business, and branding. And what it talks about is that we put too much of a premium on logical thinking. And what's interesting is you mentioned that you're a logical thinker, but I actually think that you're a little bit more of an illogical thinker in the sense that you think outside of what logic dictates.
Oh,
And and that's something kind of interesting. It seems logical to you because you're thinking in a different space.
yeah,
But for everybody else, you're an illogical thinker,
yes,
right?
yes.
So the book is really interesting because it brings up some other things that I've read from other books. For example, not necessarily the 5 day work week, but the 40-hour work week was a natural thing that happened as a result of, I think it was World War One or two.
Absolutely, yes.
So before that this whole work schedule didn't exist.
Did not exist.
And before that, women didn't work because it was, again, the men provide and blah, 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 whatever. So it's kind of interesting because in some respect, it kind of elevated society, but in the other respect, it definitely bogged us down. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because a lot of the things that people do that are viewed as illogical or insane or crazy or selfish, you would never get to that point. You would never understand or put context to these new ideas unless a crazy person did it first. Because logical thinkers are never going to go outside of this paradigm that we've already created. They're never going to do it. Like the world needs people like us to challenge them. And it sucks because, in a sense, we may never reap the benefit of this hard work.
Yes.
But it is hard work. It's very hard work. Right? You're challenged every day. You're challenged by peers, by friends, by family, by everybody who has an opinion. They are challenging you, and they want to say that that's not work.
Yes.
That is a whole ass job in and of itself.
Yes.
I
love
so so it talks about illogical versus logical thinking, and it actually expresses it a little differently. But it got me thinking about something, and I really wanted to share this with you because I'm really excited to hear your thought on this. Well, pilgrims, not we, but like pilgrims came to America, and there was, what I'm saying, there was this whole thing about like, we want a better country. And I'm going to say we only because I'm an American, right?
I follow, yes.
Yes. So we want a better thing. England is not doing it right, even though they're doing a lot of things right, low key. But anyway,
Yes.
So England's not doing it right. We want to do our own thing. So they come over here, they make a whole country, and there's this utopian idea, that, whether it's bound by God or not, it is a utopian idea.
Absolutely.
And it's that we're going to work, we're going to create industry, we're going to build this country into this amazing thing. And the question about when it stops or what that utopia looks like never happened. That never happened. So we keep kind of running around in circles. Like,
you know why? Oh,
talk about it.
It's the freaking founders. Like, America has this disgusting obsession with the founders. And mind you, that whatever the utopian thing that they were going for, the intention of that was like, it was like, good. They had good intentions. However, when you think of true legacy, how many people have to work in true legacy? If you want to answer, you could answer.
No. Keep going, because I want more. I want more body.
Legacy. After that, nobody else has to work. All they have to do is extend it. That means they have to, like, in whatever technical form, they just have to expand on it and make sure that it continues to grow because the groundwork was done already. You know what I'm saying? So if that groundwork had properly been done with the intention that they came to do, as you were saying, it should have been, okay, like, so we're going to work for this period of time, and then after that work is done, we just go, lay back because we have done the groundwork. However, they done looped us in the shit because of that, like, okay, the founding fathers, which is what you were finishing on, and that's what I'm, bouncing off of exactly, because like they have this obsession with the Constitution, which is a fucking piece of paper that men wrote in a specific amount of times. That doesn't mean that we're supposed to emulate exactly what they did verbatim. So they're like, it's literally like a Bible, when honestly it should be like a blueprint up on a wall there. And have rewritten that a million times over to simplify it. I think about like we were talking about like just work or something like that, and I was just saying, hey guys, how y'all doing? Welcome. And we just the way that it's so important for me to simplify everything I do. If I start doing something at 30 minutes, I want to end up eventually being able to do it in 7 minutes. You know, I want to simplify it down to the needle. So why hasn't a constitution that's more than almost 300 years old, like why is it still like in effect and it hasn't been simplified to this day? Because
it's actually been the opposite. It's been complicated more because you have amendments over amendments and all this other stuff. And just to pull it back too, because like when you think about it, I love this point that you said that we're just like pushing the foundation that somebody else has built forward. But where's the innovation? You know, where are the new ideas? You know what I mean? Like what you're saying has a lot to do with innovation. And it's crazy because Joshua at Gardenship, him and I, we've already had some crazy conversations. So shout out Gardenship, shout out Joshua. But it's insane to me because like if we're going to move forward to like this better place, you know, like for example, side note, computers were meant to take over typewriters, right? And in so doing, they were supposed to lessen the work week. And instead they did the complete opposite. People work harder and longer hours now than they ever have before. You know, so it's like all of these new ideas are used against us as opposed to getting us and propelling us to a new space where we're not so burdened by silly, useless jobs. Like, do we really need people flipping burgers? I don't think so. Do we really need people, like, you know, do we need cross guards? You know, and now the question is, do we really even need police? And that's the real thing that had me thinking about this. Because if society trusted us, we wouldn't need police. But society doesn't trust us. Government doesn't trust us. And I think that's a really interesting point is we never got to a place where we started trusting our own people. You know?
We can't. Because I mean, well, the foundation was instantly ruined by enslaved Africans being brought into the country. So that threw everything off. You killed all the Native Americans. You know what I'm saying? So they brought enslaved Africans here, you know what I'm saying? So then that throws off the ratio. When they were forming, mind you, you know what I'm saying? The police are only here. Their whole foundation is to catch the enslaved. So that trust is there. So that
wait, hold on. Catch the enslaved. I like that you worded it that way. Because that takes the whole black and white issue out of it. It speaks to it more from a place of privilege. It's more about the people who, again, the people who continue to focus in the box, the people who continue to focus from logical thinking, those are the ones who are quote unquote safe because they're doing things the way you're supposed to do them. But the enslaved, that could be just about anyone. That's interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anybody that they can put into that 13th Amendment and send somebody to jail or whatever that may be. So you have, you know, that little situation of the beginning of this chaos. It gets overthrown and completely just, you know, ruined when, okay, now people want to revolt. You know, we have our so-called United States is overthrown by, you know, some people saying, hey, you know, we shouldn't be, you know, actually Britain, you know, abolished slavery. So when Britain did that, mind you, I was actually going to say that when you were talking about, when we brought up this conversation, Africa is the true blueprint because we had a civilization before everybody else, but Britain is America's blueprint. And Britain, London, all of that will always be like forward because they have a layout that is for the people. We don't have, nothing of the Constitution is in favor of humanity. Nothing. It's all like, honestly, like to banish, it almost speaks for the moment, not the future, which is why a lot of things haven't been changed. But to go back onto the police and everything like that. So they were like specifically there to catch the enslaved. Then they say, okay, you know, we have a moment where we could be overpopulated. Let's bring in the Russian. Let's bring in the Polish. Let's bring in, who else came? Let's bring in the Russian, Polish. Oh, let's bring in the Italians, Russians,
Mhm.
Polish, Italians. They were all intentionally brought here, intentionally brought to
Really?
America. The police. That's it. Their sole job. Were brought here, given free public housing, the same that was eventually over this time period. They're shipped here over time, into America, New York first, and then across the nation. This is real stuff, all facts. Then across the nation or whatever, and all of this is done. So as soon as they're, mind you, it takes about 20 years to really get a full generation, under the mental umbrella of the all American, that sort of mindset, pro American, because you can bring someone here, but they're not necessarily going to think like an American, but you have to really train them and sculpt them to really be in favor of. You have to brainwash them to be in favor of the American dream. So they were all brainwashed into the American dream, obviously as police. They literally were brought as police. This was almost turned into this was post. This is the revolutionary area after.
Mhm.
What's that term?
Era?
Yeah, after the Reconstruction era. The Reconstruction. That never happened. The 40 acres and a mule, that never happened, that era. So that's when they ship all these people here. They're literally supposed to be police. They are police. Then mind you, naturally these people wouldn't be considered things. So that's where this distrust also lies. In foreign people being here, but by necessity. They were here with intention, by necessity. You got people with my four grandfathers. She's from Ukraine or Poland or wherever people may be from. Who knows? But they're all here, and then they take on the American shell. They have these views. Okay, we know we're white now. We have people, our family in old country, but we're classified white specific right now. So then it creates more separation. So you have in white Americans' minds, okay, I'm a native. I'm from here. I actually remember the first time.
That's kind of interesting. Yeah, there is at some point this sort of indoctrination that happens. Yeah,
Yes.
that's interesting too, though, only because I've had conversations with Italians from with
Yes.
ancestry from Italy and the Irish as well, and they were they didn't particularly treat us well either, and I was like, yeah, no, they didn't, and I think it's interesting because now it's this.
Intentionally brought here for police purposes. So it just intensified. You know what I'm saying? They taught them to hate us. They taught them everything. And mind you, once upon a time, they all lived as our neighbors with love and peace. But they taught them to hate us, everything like that. So be it. But it throws off the balance of what America is supposed to be, because now you have all these viewpoints, and they're really trying to. Have you ever thought to yourself why you can drive across America and see the same four-way intersection, the same buildings, the same courthouse, the same. It all looks the same. It's just damn, y'all are y'all gonna change anything? They're not.
Yeah, and then you go to Canada, and then all of a sudden it looks like England. All of us Canada looks so different, which is crazy. But no, just because I know we only have 6 or so minutes left, right? Yeah, about 6 minutes. Very fascinating points. Yeah, there's a lot of segregation and a lot of separation, and I think that we are finally in a place where we are having the conversation.
Yes.
We are actually doing something about the conversation. The election coming up is definitely a curveball. I'm not going to say more than that. Just going to put that out there, but I'm not going to say more than that. But I will say that, if there is a point ultimately to kind of share with the people after listening, I would really want it to be to kind of think about this idea of trust, trusting your neighbor, trusting your peers, trusting just going out on a limb and trusting, because there was this goal of we are leaving this whole other country, we are leaving this whole other country because we want freedom and liberty to practice whatever it is we want to practice. And it's funny and ironic because yes, now we have people who want to practice things that are different than what those original pilgrims wanted.
Yes.
But guess what? That's why you came here. That's why you came here. That's why we're fighting. That's why we're all like, and I'm not saying this just from a Black perspective or a Latin perspective, but it is from every marginalized minority, what have you community. We just got to work together because this shit is holding us back. Like, we could have been having spaceships. We could have been like, not just spaceships, but I mean like space cruises. Like, we could have been cruising in space by now. Instead, we're bickering over some dumb shit. Like, just let it go. Let it go.
And even to, you know, it's so funny because I literally was having a conversation in my head. I'm really, really big on words. I feel like I probably third grade or something like that, but I'm really, really big on words because I know like the tone of words, you really have to like dig deep into the tone of words. And it makes me think to myself, like, who's the trickster who said like, oh, trust me? Who said trust me?
I don't know. I think there was a few tricksters over time that were just like,
Absolutely.
trust me, it's gonna be fine. It's right.
In my mind wonders, and I think to myself like, yeah, you got to think about like the first people on, you know, who were like in the rainforest, and they're like, oh, like, hey, I'll be back in like a little bit. Trust me, I'll come back for days. I personally do not. I don't believe. It's no person walking this face of this earth that I trust. I do not believe in trust. I believe that you are that as a human, you should leave complete room for human error. So,
oh yeah,
human, we are human, meaning we're fucked up. We're flawed, like peacefully flawed.
I love that, actually. Yeah, no, I will. I think that there's room for both. I think I could trust people knowing that they'll probably fuck up, and then, you know, figure out a way, you know, because like that's another thing is like,
Give up on each other so effortlessly, and we do that. That's why wars happen, because we get it's a human relationship thing, and people just giving up on people. You can't give up on a person. It's because of simple. You have to leave room for human error.
you do, yeah. I mean, you could definitely give up on a person, but like, you shouldn't give up on a people. I would say there's definitely some persons that like I can totally dead, but
like so, yeah, I definitely.
but like persons, like you know, there's definitely like there's group like. The reason why I'm stuttering is because there's so many different groups that just popped into my head. Like I was thinking about the Iraq War with President Bush. I was thinking about the Black community and like how, you know, there's this disparity between the different races. I think about how like my grandmother cleaned houses. She's Costa Rican, and how white people had to trust her while the media may have been saying other things about people who look like her. It's like, it's really interesting because you kind of have to come to a point like, are you just going to intelligently, mindfully trust people in order to move forward? And then when one person, not a group of people, but one person fucks up, let's hold that person accountable, you know? And that little conversation that happens with yourself just before, and I'm just gonna say it like this way because everybody does it, but you know, like I'm whatever. I don't know. Like, let's say when men say like, damn, like a woman says something emotionally or whatever, and a man's like, women are so emotional. You had that minute to have that conversation with yourself and think, are every single woman, are they all really emotional? And the answer is yes, but also so are men. Like, you had that minute to have that conversation, and you chose to say that anyway. So don't, you know, that's what it is, man. Like, we all make mistakes. We're all flawed human beings. Like, trust me, and know that I will do as best as I can. And you can also make an assessment of me, a general assessment, you know, like a very simple race and gender and, you know, sexuality excluded assessment. Does this person have a good track record? You know, has this person built a foundation before? Does this person have reliable sources? You know what I mean? Like, that's a great way to judge a person's merit. Not their skin's way too dark, man.
Absolutely.
I don't know if the lights are off. I can't see them well enough. I don't know about that. Like,
that should never be crossed anybody's mind. And you know, that starts with Jesus. Like, they should have never gave Jesus a face ever. But that's another conversation.
That's a whole, oh my God, yeah, we're on the last 20 seconds. Don't give God a face. That is the worst mistake that you can make, 100%.
Sin ever. Don't give God a face. Don't give Jesus a face. That was absolutely awful.
And that's how we end it. 8 seconds left. KevEon, thank you so much. Great conversation. Thank you for your wisdom.